Jeffrey Epstein.
Into Jeffrey Epstein.
In the Epstein Files.
Of the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Reopening the Epstein case.
Six million pages, and the most dangerous ones are still locked away. Welcome to INFOMUNDO, where we break down fascinating, worldwide famous topics and bring them to your screens. And today we are going to explain those 6 million pages of the Epstein Files, no matter where that takes us. The files exposed the names of presidents, royalty, cabinet ministers, and billionaires who were involved in those heinous crimes. A surveillance system built for blackmail, a federal deal that buried the case for 11 years, and a man who was 2 weeks away from cooperating with federal prosecutors before he turned up dead in a maximum security jail cell. Jeffrey Epstein was not simply a predator. He was a financier without a verifiable client list, protected by institutions that have never fully explained why. Since his death, the battle to unseal his records has exposed something more alarming than Epstein himself. A system engineered to protect him and every powerful name inside those files.
Talk about blacking out. I don't know if I can get a close-up of my phone. This is one of the documents that the Justice Department released. It's 100 pages.
Right,
This is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see. It's all black. It's just 100 pages of redaction. That's the transparency we're getting here.
So the question was never just what did he do? The question is, who made sure you wouldn't find out? Epstein was born in Brooklyn in 1953, dropped out of NYU, taught math at a Manhattan prep school without a credential, and was eventually let go. By every conventional measure, his early life pointed toward mediocrity. What came next defies explanation. He joined Bear Stearns, rose to limited partner by 1980, then established financial trust company in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Billionaires only, no verified client list ever produced. His estate at death, approximately $600 million. Properties in Manhattan, Palm Beach, New Mexico, Paris, and a private Caribbean island. And buried in the January 2026 files, here is a strange footage of Steve Bannon asking Epstein, "Are you the devil himself?"
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
What makes the exchange disturbing is not what he says. It's how completely at ease he appears. Little St. James, 72 acres purchased in 1998 for $8 million. Pilot Larry Visosky testified he personally bought thumbnail-sized hidden cameras from a Florida spy shop at Epstein's instruction and installed them inside Kleenex boxes throughout Epstein's properties. Investigators believe the footage was intended not for security, but for leverage. Epstein's address books listed 1,700 plus names: world leaders, Nobel laureates, royalty, tech billionaires, media moguls. The household manual released in the January 2026 files specified master bedroom AC locked at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, guns in bedside drawers, written instructions governing sex toys, and one overriding rule for all staff: see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. At the island's summit stood the blue and white striped structure. FBI photographs show mattresses in yellow shrink wrap, a zodiac ceiling mural, and an underwater trapdoor with rusty handholds leading into darkness. No official explanation for its purpose has ever been established. The released files also contained photographs of an Austrian passport bearing Epstein's face under a false name: Marius Robert Fortelny, residence Saudi Arabia. Found locked in a safe with 48 diamonds. It carried entry stamps from France, Spain, Saudi Arabia, and the UK, obtained in the 1980s. The January 2026 files contained a document that was never supposed to be public: a 60-count federal indictment drafted by prosecutor Marie Villafana in 2007. An 82-page prosecution memo accompanied it. The FBI had a plan to arrest Epstein in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where he was judging a beauty pageant. His supervisors canceled it. Instead, in 2008, U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta signed a non-prosecution agreement. Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 state charges, served 13 months in a county jail with work release 6 days a week, and federal charges were dropped entirely. The agreement immunized him and unnamed co-conspirators without notifying any victims. Judge Kenneth Mara ruled in 2019 that this violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act. At his 2017 cabinet confirmation, Acosta told the Senate he had been informed Epstein belonged to intelligence and was above his pay grade. That statement was made under oath and never properly followed up. The DOJ's own 2021 OPR report concluded Acosta had exercised poor judgment, stopping short of formal professional misconduct. Victims' attorneys publicly called it a whitewash. Harvard received $6.5 million from Epstein. He kept a personal office there for 9 more years post-conviction.
Silence. Harvard is now acknowledging tonight that it received millions of dollars from Jeffrey Epstein.
MIT accepted $800,000 through third parties, bypassing its own disqualification of Epstein, and later returned the funds. JP Morgan processed his accounts until 2013 and settled a USVI lawsuit for $75 million. Deutsche Bank processed over $1 billion in Epstein-related transactions, while internally flagging red flags, then settled for another $75 million. The January 2026 release revealed a previously undisclosed DEA investigation targeting Epstein and 14 others for suspicious transfers potentially linked to narcotics, running quietly alongside the sex trafficking probe for 5 years with no prosecution. Elsewhere, the emails describe Epstein's plan to impregnate up to 20 women simultaneously at his New Mexico ranch, a baby factory, to spread his DNA. He discussed this openly, in writing, with scientists who did not alert authorities. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. He had been removed from suicide watch against protocol. His cellmate had been transferred and not replaced. The 2 guards on duty falsified their check records, and surveillance cameras outside his cell malfunctioned. The official ruling: suicide by hanging. Forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, retained by Epstein's brother, found fractures to the hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage, a pattern he called more consistent with homicidal strangulation. The dispute remains unresolved.
The injuries to the neck with fractures of the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, 3 different fractures, and the petechial hemorrhages in the eyes that we saw in the diagram were such that they were crushing injuries rather than hanging injuries.
Less than 2 weeks before his death, the files record that Epstein's attorneys met with prosecutors to discuss possible cooperation. The discussions are described as being in very general terms, but they were happening. Whatever names, whatever evidence, whatever he had accumulated in 30 years of photographing and recording the powerful, he took it with him. Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted in December 2021 on 5 counts including sex trafficking of minors and sentenced to 20 years, has not produced testimony naming additional figures. In January 2026, the DOJ released 3.5 million pages and declared its obligations under the Transparency Act fulfilled. The DOJ's own prior accounting placed the total at 6 million pages, meaning 40% is still withheld. Representatives Khanna and Massey called it institutional shielding, noting the withheld documents appear to disproportionately concern living, high-profile individuals. The Second Circuit ruled in 2025 that materials from the Giuffre litigation are still judicial documents entitled to public access, removing one of the DOJ's central justifications for withholding them. Inside the released files, the word cannibal appears 52 times, whoops over 400 times, pizza and grape soda together over 900 times. None of these patterns have been conclusively explained in any public proceeding. The files revealed the documented proximity, emails, photographs, flight logs, depositions, of some of the most powerful people on Earth to a convicted child sex trafficker. What follows is not an accusation. Appearing in the files is not evidence of crime. It is evidence of a network. Here's what the records specifically show. Donald Trump. The files show a long social relationship in overlapping Manhattan and Palm Beach circles. One released image shows Trump with 6 women whose faces were redacted. Epstein's former house manager, Juan Alessi, testified under oath that Trump never received a massage at Epstein's Palm Beach home, though he did come to dinner. In a released email, Epstein claimed Trump had spent hours with Virginia Giuffre. Trump has denied this. No victim has publicly accused Trump of wrongdoing.
And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know.
He signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act in November 2025, though he initially refused to release the files after taking office, drawing anger from his own base. Bill Clinton. A Clinton spokesperson confirmed he took 4 trips on Epstein's plane in 2002-2003 with staff and Secret Service on every leg. Epstein kept photographs of Clinton in his New York home. No victim has publicly accused Clinton of involvement in Epstein's crimes. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Clintons for depositions under oath. As of publication, they have declined.
Any comments on the alleged allegation of your connection with Jeffrey Epstein? No.
Bill Gates. Gates has publicly said meeting Epstein was a huge mistake.
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that.
The files reveal Epstein attempted to use knowledge of Gates' alleged affair with Russian bridge player Mila Antonova as leverage, effectively threatening him. In a 2013 email, Richard Branson urged Epstein to get Gates to publicly rehabilitate his image. Gates declined. A Gates spokesperson stated, "The only thing these documents demonstrate is Epstein's frustration that he did not have an ongoing relationship with Gates." Elon Musk. Musk publicly posted, "Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I refused." The files contain 16 emails from 2012 to 2013, 4 years after Epstein's first conviction, in which Musk asked what night would be the wildest party on the island, and emailed on Christmas Day to hit the party scene. Musk has denied attending any Epstein events and has not been accused of wrongdoing. Note, a viral email showing Musk requesting an epic island vacation with girls was confirmed fake by fact-checkers and does not appear in the official DOJ release. Richard Branson. In a 2013 email, 5 years after Epstein's first conviction, Branson invited Epstein to his private Caribbean island, adding, "As long as you bring your harem." He has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Alan Dershowitz. The Harvard law professor was a legal architect of the 2008 non-prosecution agreement. Virginia Giuffre named him in a civil defamation suit as someone she had been trafficked to by Epstein. Dershowitz has vehemently denied all allegations. The case settled without any finding of liability. His role as both alleged participant and legal defender of Epstein makes him the most legally consequential non-defendant in the entire case. Larry Summers. After the files were released, Summers left the board of OpenAI and stopped teaching at Harvard. The files revealed he was named executor in an early version of Epstein's will, which Summers said he had absolutely no knowledge of. Released 2017 emails show Summers and Epstein exchanging messages mocking Trump's intelligence. Sarah Ferguson, Catherine Ruemmler, and others. Former Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson begged Epstein for a job as his house assistant, saying she desperately needed money. Former White House counsel Catherine Ruemmler, now Goldman Sachs chief legal officer, wrote to Epstein in 2015, "I adore him. It's like having another older brother." Former Victoria's Secret CEO Les Wexner, whose wealth Epstein is believed to have managed and partly appropriated, held a years-long power of attorney over Wexner's finances and was subpoenaed for testimony. Howard Lutnick, now U.S. Secretary of Commerce, tried to invite Epstein to a Hillary Clinton fundraiser in 2015. LA 28 Olympics chair Casey Wasserman wrote to Ghislaine Maxwell about seeing her in a tight leather outfit. Josh Harris, NFL co-owner and private equity billionaire, appears more than 400 times in the files. The president and the former president, the Treasury Secretary and the White House counsel, the tech founder and the Olympic chair, the current cabinet secretary and the Wall Street billionaire. Different parties, different countries, different decades, all of them in the orbit of the same man. The files are not a verdict, they are a record. And what the record shows is that Epstein did not cultivate these relationships randomly. He cultivated them because proximity to power protected him, and the people with power kept coming back, in many cases years after his first conviction was public knowledge. For years, the Epstein story was treated as an American problem. In February 2026, it became a British constitutional crisis. On February 19, 2026, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, stripped of his royal titles years earlier, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, passing confidential trade documents to Epstein during his time as the UK's trade envoy. He became the first senior royal arrested in nearly 400 years, released under investigation. King Charles expressed his deepest concern. 4 days later, Peter Mandelson, former UK ambassador to the United States, fired by PM Keir Starmer as the Epstein disclosures mounted, was arrested at his London home. Files showed him passing internal post-2008 crash government financial documents to Epstein and $75,000 in payments to accounts linked to him between 2003 and 2004. An earlier file showed him calling Epstein "my best pal." Starmer stated publicly that Mandelson had lied repeatedly, released on bail. No charges filed as of publication. In Norway, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, wife of the heir to the throne, was revealed to have exchanged hundreds of emails with Epstein, staying at his Palm Beach home, continuing correspondence after his 2008 conviction. Norway opened a parliamentary inquiry into its foreign ministry. Latvia launched a police investigation into travel records for Latvian women in the files. And then there was the letter that was never real. A handwritten note, purportedly from Epstein to Larry Nassar, was released in December 2025 and confirmed fake by the FBI within 24 hours. Wrong postmark location, wrong return address, no inmate number, post dated after Epstein's death. It had sat in the FBI's own evidence archive since 2020, published alongside genuine documents in the mass release. 6 million pages without curation means fabrications and facts arrive together, and the burden of separating them falls on the public. Here is what the documents confirm without dispute. Jeffrey Epstein built a network that operated not through secrecy, but through immunity, with calculated assurance that wealth, access, and institutional protection could insulate any crime from consequence. He was investigated in 2006 and protected by federal deal-making in 2008. He re-offended. He was rearrested in 2019 and died before trial. His associate has been convicted. 2 major banks settled lawsuits acknowledging they processed and ignored the financial signals of his operation. Members of the British royal family and a senior cabinet minister have been arrested. A Norwegian crown princess's sustained correspondence with a convicted child sex trafficker is now part of the permanent public record. The central question, who else knew, who else participated, and who else was protected, remains active, contested, and 2.5 million pages from a complete answer. Every institution that touched this case has acknowledged something went wrong. What none has fully answered is whether what went wrong was negligence or design. Negligence is a failure. Design is a system. And if it was a system, it has never been fully dismantled. And those were the hidden facts about the Epstein Files. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to INFOMUNDO. If you're interested in knowing how the Supermax prison, ADX Florence, broke the most feared drug lord El Chapo, then you must check out the video on the channel. And let us know in the comments what we should dive into next.